Welcome to Agile Business Radio. This is John Orvos. I'm here today with John Calabrese. John is the IT delivery lead for a Fortune 500 insurance company, and John's going to talk about business agility today. John, welcome.
How are you doing? Good afternoon, John.
So, as usual, we're going to talk about business agility. We're not talking about anything else, but we're going to talk a zero in on business agility. But first, John, what we want to do is kind of get a lay of the land in your organization. Give us kind of a scope in a minute or so where Agile is right now. I know a little bit of where you are. You're on the kind of tip of the spear as far within the organization, a huge organization, and you guys are kind of on a leading edge over there. So give us a snapshot of that in a minute, kind of where you are in Agile, and then we'll get into business agility.
Yeah. So I've been in my current role for about 6 months right now, and one of the first things that I started to work when I started in my role was move us from basically essential safe to building out our portfolio safe environment. So we're moving out to scaled Agile. We basically built out large Agile release trains with one program backlog. So we have our invest Scrum teams that are working heads down in partnership with our maintenance teams and our production support team. So we are testing out a lot of not only technologies, but Agile methodologies on our Agile release train. And then the goal is to use those same methodologies across the organization.
So in your release train efforts, and obviously you're using one of the 5 top popular models. Who's invited to that party? Who's involved in that? As far from not within IT mostly, but within from the business side, program, product, and then any further reaching other folks you're connecting with?
Yeah, so we have a pretty extensive user experience team who builds wireframes that we test with our top agents that we work with. So that's kind of our focus group. We have 2 product managers. One has an extensive knowledge of, and he is our go-to guy with our partnership with our agents. The nice thing is we have something called an agent day. We do it about twice a year where we bring agents in and we show them our new features that we're looking to build in the next 6 months or even the next program increment, and they're able to give us feedback. Well, one nice thing from that perspective is not only do we get feedback on the features that we are working to build, is they have good ideas of things that we are not thinking about in the organization.
Oh, that's interesting. So Agents Day, that's so from a channels perspective, when you say, okay, you have your a nice shiny agile scaled engine running here, and now we need feedback, we need fuel. So where's the fuel? Sometimes it was like, all right, well, let's just guess what we're going to make wherever the wind goes, and we'll take good guess. You're not guessing. You guys have a hand on the pulse of the market where they are, particularly the customers. And that's where that's where the craze is, right? Focus on the customer. Not only do you have a UX team talking to this go-to guy that's the venue through the agents, but you also have an agent day. I love that. So it's basically a show, tell, and then tell. So you show and tell, and then they tell you. Is that what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's also interesting seeing agents come into our Agile room for a couple days and just seeing what we're doing and how we're doing it. I mean, we use different tools to track our features and our capabilities, but we have the wall, something called the wall, where we can move index cards to just show where our features are and how they're progressing. And that's more from a perspective of just giving good insight to just from a team perspective of how everyone's doing.
That's at a feature level. You have a wall. And the agents don't see that, do they, or no?
They do when they come in for agent day. Yeah, and they're just really enamored by it because they just think it's one of the most interesting and intriguing things that we do here on our release train.
That's very cool. But this is feature level. How do you define a feature? Is it more like on an initiative?
Yeah, it's actually features are we haven't broken. It's basic work from a large level of what we want to deliver in a program increment.
Okay.
So and then we also are using capabilities, which are multiple features over multiple program increments that roll up to a specific capability.
So you're looking at capabilities as the highest level, like more initiative level almost.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
And you're showing them on a feature, capabilities and features. You bring the agents, you bring the customers to see not only what you're doing and get feedback, but also hear their feedback and say, oh, that's a great idea. We don't have that here, but that would fit under this capability here. And you start to map that out.
Yeah. I think after 2 or 3 days in the office, they started writing their own features.
That's that's intense. That's a
Yeah,
beautiful sign. I mean,
yeah,
for a large organization like yours to have this entrepreneurial area doing this and connecting with the customer through the channel
yeah.
is a really great thing. First of all, how did you do it? How did you get it done? I know your company. It's a big company, and you guys are. How unique is this?
Yeah, so I just think it's important. It's almost twofold, right? It needs to be driven from top down. So you need to have your senior leadership on board. We have multiple CIOs who are on board, and then also on the business side of the house, right? Someone has to fund to have all these agents come in for 2-3 days, everything from their hotel stays to meals and keeping them happy. So it's really a team effort. It's very important for both business and IT folks to be on the same page and be on this journey together.
Someone has to fund it. How did you get that fund? Is this coming from IT, or is it coming from the business?
It's coming from the business. So from the Agile Day and all the UX and focus groups is funded from the business. How we run our train and how we deliver is funded from our IT side.
And what's in it for you? And what, in your view, what's in it for the business to fund this, to go through this effort? I have my perspectives, but I want to hear what your perspective is. Why is it such a no-brainer for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because from an insurance perspective, you these days you have to be at the forefront because you're not only competing against other insurance companies in the industry, but you're competing against your Amazons, your Facebooks, your Google. Everybody wants, like, if I had $1 for every time an agent told me they wanted a search that's Google-like, that would solve all their problems. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But it's from an industry perspective and just a consumer perspective. If someone has a great experience on an Amazon or a Google app, they're going to want the same thing at work. So that is really the driving factor. You're not competing against companies in your industry anymore. You're competing against literally the whole marketplace.
So yeah, you're nailing it. So John, so you're saying obviously the competition landscape has changed. Obviously, you're in the big five, in your space. So the other big five isn't really, that's not as critical right now than the emerging digital plays. So the competition's changing. The customers are obviously, their tastes are changing. And I think what I'm hearing from you is the channels, how are they measured for success, right? They're measured by customer retention, customer happiness, revenue, generating business. And this is this kind of a consortium reach out kind of forum day, Agents Day is a venue to getting that done. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, absolutely. It's been very, very helpful. And it's really helped drive what are the next items that the team or the train is going to work on.
So last question, just maybe if you can give us an idea. I mean, your business is obviously the tip of the spear. How did your business tell us about the business area, and is this being contagious? Is this this is contagious in other areas or not so much yet? And are there other pillars, if you will, that are joining this party? You have channels. How about others like finance and marketing? Can you just give us a scope of those two?
Yeah, I think from a perspective of, I know that the whole company is moving towards Agile. We are the first to move to scaled Agile from like a finance and marketing. I don't have a lot of insight into that, but I don't think we are literally at the forefront in the organization. So we're blazing the trail right now, not only from a Agile perspective, but also from a technology.
And the driver is the customer and the competition. And you guys, is that really the wind in your sails?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So then that's the fuel to change. And then therefore the change was able to occur in that way, in that fashion. So John, this is really interesting. What we're doing is follow this story as it goes and see two things. One is, are there any other of the business pillars that are going to join the party within your tip of the spear? And are there other tip of the spears that count on customer and competitive changes as their fuel to change as well? So we'll keep an eye on those two as we move forward. So
sure.
For today then, John, I'm just going to thank you, John, IT
sure.
delivery lead at a Fortune 500 insurance company. Thank you for your time today.
Sure. Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.